Susan Jeffers. I know Miss Baxter is doing a Nutcracker themed lesson this week in music, so I thought it would be a really great time for us to do a read aloud together about the Nutcracker. Now, the Nutcracker has always held a special place in my heart. You may know the Nutcracker from ballets. You may have seen it performed as a ballet. And when I was younger, I was in the Nutcracker. I was a mouse. You can see me right there. That's me as a mouse in the Nutcracker. But before it was a ballet, the Nutcracker was actually a book. And it was a book, it was written in German by a man named E.T.A. Hoffmann. And it was actually different from the Nutcracker story we know and the one that we're going to read today. When it first started out, it was more of kind of a Cinderella meets Beauty of the Beast story. Your main character, Clara, was actually an orphan girl who lived in the streets, or when she was finally adopted, she had to do really awful chores and kind of like Cinderella, right? And then she met a Nutcracker. The Nutcracker was actually a prince that had been cursed and put into this disguise by a mouse king. And so she and the prince work together to get him out of that curse, and he becomes a real prince. Now, in the Nutcracker that we're going to read today, it's a little bit different. Clara is actually called Marie, and that's because there have been several different editions of the Nutcracker that have been written since that original one. Sometimes she's known as Clara, sometimes she's known as Marie. And in this particular version, she lives in the giant mansion. Her parents are going to have a giant party, and she's going to have to use her smarts to outwit the Nut King and save her Nutcracker. So here we go. The Nutcracker by Susan Jeffers. Here we are on Christmas Eve night, and you can see we're in a beautiful city. There's snow on the ground. This is the Stahlbaum's mansion right here. You can see people are arriving in horse-drawn carriages. This was a long time ago for the party that they're about to have. And you've got some angels overlooking the whole scene. Beautiful pictures. I love the illustrations in this book. Susan Jeffers, The Nutcracker. Now here we are in the Stahlbaum's mansion. You can see there's beautiful rooms upstairs. Downstairs, there's a ballroom where guests are getting ready to meet and dance, and you can see that there's musicians getting ready to play. You can see Marie and Fritz at the door listening. A butler is waiting to invite the guests in, and downstairs, there's people making sweets and cookies and all kinds of good Christmas treats. Here the guests are arriving. It says, "It was Christmas Eve at the Stahlbaum's house. Marie and her little brother Fritz were listening at the ballroom door, waiting for the party to begin." Everyone was dancing when the guests arrived. "Godfather!" Marie cried, rushing back to greet the last guest. Herr Drosselmeyer was not only Marie's godfather, but he was also a famous toy maker. He could make toys that moved and clocks that called the hours as sweetly as a nightingale. Look at all these beautiful dresses in the party. And back here, you can see there's Marie. She's talking to her godfather, Herr Drosselmeyer. Herr Drosselmeyer brought presents for all of the children. He gave Fritz a box of toy soldiers. For Marie, there were two dolls, a Harlequin and a Columbine, who danced with each other. And that's what you see right here. This is the Harlequin doll, and this is the Columbine doll. They're dancing together. "I have another present for you, Marie," said Herr Drosselmeyer. He handed her a wooden Nutcracker. "I want you to take good care of him." Do you think Marie will take good care of him? I think so. "Not fair," shouted Fritz. "She has 3 presents." What did Fritz have? He had an entire box of toy soldiers. Silly Fritz. He grabbed the Nutcracker from Marie and tossed him into the air. The Nutcracker crashed to the floor and broke his head. "So what?" said Fritz. "It was an ugly thing." Herr Drosselmeyer bound up the Nutcracker's head with his handkerchief. Tenderly, Marie took the Nutcracker into her arms. She put him under the Christmas tree. Outside in the street, the carriages waited. After a flurry of goodbyes, Fritz and Marie were sent to bed. But poor Nutcracker is all alone, thought Marie. She tiptoed back downstairs, and holding her Nutcracker close, she fell asleep underneath the Christmas tree. Herr Drosselmeyer slipped into the room and, raising his hand, cast a bit of magic. Bong, bong, bong. The grandfather clock struck midnight. Marie stirred and rubbed her eyes. The Christmas tree started to grow. It grew and grew. Around her came a scampering of mice. Squeak, squeak, squeak! They were gathering like an army ready to attack. The ruler was the Mouse King, and he had 7 heads with 7 crowns. Marie held the Nutcracker, and she ran as fast as she could. And who's she running towards? The toy soldiers, that's right. The Nutcracker leapt out of Marie's arms and took his sword at the ready. Fritz's toy soldiers took their battle positions. Swords flashed. Cannons fired. Boom! Boom! Squeak! 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 Said the mice. The Nutcracker fought bravely, but the Mouse King was stronger. Oh no, it looks like the Mouse King is about to defeat Fritz. No, cried Marie, you shall not hurt him. She pulled off her slipper, off of her little foot right there, and threw it with all her might at the Mouse King. Looks like it hit him in the head. Boing! He looks a little dazed, doesn't he? And she saved the Nutcracker. With a hiss, the Mouse King sank to the floor. Gathering up their king, the mice dragged him away. From the shadows, Herr Drosselmeyer saw Marie's bravery. He raised his hand, cast some more magic, and the Nutcracker was transformed into a handsome prince. The prince bowed to Marie, and the Mouse King's sparkling crown was put on her head. Come, said the prince, and they walked through falling snowflakes to a waiting boat that flew them through the night. So here you have beautiful snowflakes, and the boat flew them through the night. Do boats fly? In the Nutcracker, they do. She and Fritz fly off in a boat. It's true. Welcome to my kingdom, said the prince. Oh, but where are we? Said Marie. Why, you are in the land of sweets, said the sugar plum fairy, coming through the gates of the kingdom. Welcome home, dear prince. We will have a party to celebrate your return. The sugar plum fairy led Prince and Marie to the seat of honor. You can see them sitting right there on the throne. Coffee, chocolate, Chinese tea, marzipan, and Mother Ginger danced for them. Pink roses waltzed. This is the Waltz of the Flowers. There's actually a song called that in the Nutcracker. At last, the sugar plum fairy danced. She seemed lighter than air. Too soon, it was time to leave. As they flew homeward, Marie asked the prince, "Will I ever see you again?" The prince replied, "One day your courage and kind heart will be rewarded. Do not forget me." The next morning, "What are you doing under the tree, Marie?" said her mother. "Wake up," said Herr Drosselmeyer. Marie opened her eyes and hugged her Nutcracker. She whispered, "If only you were alive. I would not care if Fritz said you were ugly. I would love you anyways." Herr Drosselmeyer raised his hand, and the Nutcracker again became the Prince of Fairyland. The prince said to Marie, "The Mouse King imprisoned me under an evil spell. Because you loved me, no matter what I look like, his spell is broken. I have been very happy to meet you." Oh, we skipped a page. Years passed, and the prince and Marie became engaged. After their wedding, they rode to the land of sweets in a coach trimmed in gold drawn by 4 silver horses. To this day, there are those who say Marie is queen of a wondrous fairyland that only those who believe can see. And that, my friends, is the story of the Nutcracker. I hope you enjoy it. Now up next, we're going to have some interactive activities we can play.